climate goals, boost clean technology manufacturing, make EVs more accessible and affordable, ensure families breathe clean air and drink clean water, and make gains towards environmental justice for historically forgotten communities. What does this look like for my community? It's funding for air quality monitoring grants in historically disadvantaged communities, clean school buses for our children, and low-emission public transportation in Los Angeles. After years of insufficient federal action to address our climate crisis, Democrats came together to enact this historic law, and we cannot go back. Unfortunately, Republicans prefer to help their corporate polluter friends roll back environmental safeguards and are currently working to use our economy as a bargaining chip to erase major clean energy provisions in the IRA through debt limit discussions. If the Speaker and his ultra-MAGA colleagues got their way, they would inflict dire consequences to our efforts to stop the worst of climate change from happening. They would end renewable energy credits for wind and solar, limit rooftop solar growth in homes and businesses, stop the expansion of electric vehicle sales and EV charging stations, repeal funding for low-income communities that was intended to address pollution, and repeal the methane emissions reduction program. These are investments in clean energy that have largely benefited Republican districts, even though they won't admit it. And Republican actions today will take away the wealth and economic opportunity from everyday American households. This law is our strongest chance to create a safer, healthier nation for our children and families and regain credibility with allies around the world. We cannot allow Republicans to take us back to a time where fossil fuels and toxic policy discussions hold hostage our health and economy. Congress must pass a clean debt limit increase now. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize May as National Foster Care Month. Nearly 500,000 children fall under the care of our foster system. And as overseers of their welfare, Congress has a sacred duty to support these children and those who work tirelessly on their behalf to ensure that they have safe and loving homes. Our child welfare system is in desperate need of reform. We must have supportive policies that fairly compensate social workers and invest in the needs of our children. Supporting the growth and development of a child and giving them safe shelter are incredibly important tasks that have fallen by the wayside. Foster youth are feeling the economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic alongside the disparities they face in education, healthcare, and employment. This is why I joined my colleagues in the Foster Youth Caucus to introduce a resolution to recognize the month of May as National Foster Care Month. I will continue to raise awareness around our foster care system and the work of the selfless social workers and advocates. If we want to talk about adoption and providing for our children, we must take a real and lasting look at the problems we are facing and come together on solutions. Thank you, and I yield back.
The gentlewoman now yields back. The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from Georgia, Mrs. Green, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to provide a report to the United States House of Representatives that Americans support impeachment. Last week, I introduced articles of impeachment against 5 people who have abused the power of their positions and provided corruption and disservice to the American people. I introduced articles of impeachment against U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves at the Department of Justice. Matthew Graves refuses to prosecute 67% of the crimes in Washington, D.C., and abuses his office in a political pursuit who he deems political enemies, while persecuting people for January 6th, people who just walked through the Capitol. Matthew Graves must be impeached. He should prosecute criminals in Washington, D.C. that commit all kinds of crimes every single day, not care about one day where people have already been arrested and are rotting in jail. Last week, I introduced articles of impeachment against FBI Director Christopher Wray. By turning the FBI into Joe Biden and Merrick Garland's personal police force, Chris Wray has made himself a lackey of the regime. Under Wray's watch, the FBI has intimidated, harassed, and trapped American citizens that have been deemed enemies of the Biden regime. FBI even raided Mar-a-Lago on August 8th of 2022 in an unconstitutional raid of former president's home. FBI whistleblower Garrett O'Boyle told congressional investigators that the FBI created a terrorist threat tag following the Dobbs Supreme Court decision in 2022. O'Boyle confirmed that the purpose of the tag was to target pro-life individuals, and now Wray has weaponized the FBI against his own agents. These brave FBI whistleblowers have been stripped of their salaries and their security clearances simply for coming forward and bravely telling the truth. FBI Director Christopher Wray must be impeached. I introduced articles of impeachment against Attorney General Merrick Garland. Since Merrick Garland took over as Attorney General in March of 2021, he has completely weaponized the Department of Justice. The politicization of the Department of Justice has resulted in the persecution of the left's political enemies and a real two-tier justice system in America. Garland has used the FBI as a personal police force for his boss, Joe Biden. The Department of Justice's persecution of Joe Biden's primary political adversary, Donald J. Trump, is anti-democratic. Raiding the former president's home for legally declassifying documents is a transparent violation of justice. Persecuting a declared candidate for president of the United States is nothing short of election interference. But not only that, from investigating parents who protest their local school boards to going after pro-life activists and Catholics, Merrick Garland must be impeached. What I want to tell the House of Representatives today is a Rasmussen poll was released just last week that 53% of voters in America, Republicans, Independents, and Democrats, support the impeachment of Joe Biden for high crimes and misdemeanors. I introduced articles of impeachment on Joe Biden last week because of the national security crisis at our border. I also introduced articles of impeachment against Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas for failing to do his duties to secure America's border. But he's only doing the bidding of his boss, Joe Biden. At 5 p.m. yesterday, I released a survey simply on my social media asking, do you support impeachment? 8,600 people responded, and that was just from 5 p.m. last night. 77% said yes, they support impeachment. Only 23% oppose. And if anyone's read the comments on my Twitter account, you know for sure it's not just Republicans that follow me. Joe Biden has deliberately compromised our national security by refusing to enforce immigration laws and secure our border. He has allowed nearly 6 million illegals from over 170 countries to invade our country. He has caused approximately 1,700% increase in border encounters in just one sector of our northern border. Under his reign, there have been approximately 1.4 million known gotaways who have evaded U.S. authorities. He has allowed fentanyl, the #1 killer of Americans between ages of 18 and 45, to overwhelmingly flood into our country and kill over 300 Americans every single day. Joe Biden should be impeached. In my district alone, we have had an increase of 350% of fentanyl murders.
Gentlewoman's time has expired.
Thank you. Joe Biden must be impeached. I yield.
Members are reminded to refrain from engaging in personalities towards the president. The chair now recognizes the gentlewoman from Florida, Ms. Wasserman Schultz, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is with a heavy heart that I rise to recognize the remarkable life of Judy Gilbert Gould. Judy Gilbert Gould, a lifelong resident of Miami, passed away on April 21st, 2023 at the age of 88. She was the daughter of the late Stanley C. and Martha M. Myers and sister to the late Kenneth M. Myers. As a young woman, Judy became involved in the National Council of Jewish Women, eventually serving as president of the Miami chapter. In recognition of her service, Judy was awarded NCJW's highest honor, the Hannah G. Solomon Award, for her commitment to the advancement of human welfare. Judy later served in several other important professional and leadership capacities. Working under then Dade County State Attorney Janet Reno, Judy was the director of Victim Witness Services in the State Attorney's Office to help prepare rape victims to testify in court. Later on, Judy's professional career concentrated on working for the Jewish people. In 1983, Judy joined the Greater Miami Jewish Federation, where she served for many years as director of Federation's Community Relations Council, the JCRC. As the JCRC's executive director, Judy adroitly mobilized and engaged Miami's Jewish community on many levels. She led our citizen activists in building relationships with members of Congress on both sides of the aisle, was pivotal in the pro-Israel movement here at home, and successfully advocated for the national agenda supported by the Jewish Council for Public Affairs. On a personal note, we worked closely together to address a multitude of issues facing our community, from the scourge of anti-Semitism to ensuring we maintain our strong U.S.-Israel relationship. Shortly after I was elected to Congress, under Judy's leadership role at the Greater Miami Jewish Federation, she approached me with the idea to sponsor legislation that would create a month during which we honor the contributions American Jews have made to the fabric of our nation. I introduced a resolution, and since 2006, our nation has celebrated Jewish American Heritage Month each May to educate Americans about the contributions Jewish Americans have made and continue to make to our country, helping to reduce hate, anti-Semitism, and bigotry. Judy's commitment to Miami's Jewish community in the State of Israel was exemplary, and I will miss her guidance and wisdom. My heart is with her family in mourning the loss of this kind, generous, and compassionate soul. We were forever privileged to have shared this time with Judy. May her memory be for a blessing. Thank you. I yield back.
Gentlewoman yields back. The chair now recognizes the gentlewoman from New York, Ms. Tenney, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I recently traveled across New York's beautiful and sprawling 24th District as part of my official 2023 Farm Bill listening tour. Our district is among the largest agricultural and dairy districts in the Northeast and the largest apple-growing district outside of Washington State. I hosted several open-door roundtables in every part of the district to hear directly from farmers and producers about their concerns for our region's agricultural community. Ahead of our consideration of the Farm Bill later this year, feedback from farmers and producers is vitally important. The Farm Bill reauthorization is always critical for communities like mine, but this year it's more important than ever. Our farmers are struggling, and they need advocates in Congress who will stand with them. In New York, this is especially true as a raft of new state laws and regulations from Albany are imposing unprecedented and costly burdens on rural communities. Our farmers are counting on Congress to get this year's Farm Bill done and get it done right. First of all, we want to make sure, based on what I gleaned from my listening sessions, do not make any cuts to the Farm Bill programs that are pivotal to the vitality of the Northeast agricultural community. Next, reform the federal crop insurance program to cover a wider range of items and better fit the needs of specialty crop farmers, including maple syrup, which is unique to the Northeast. Support funding for the Specialty Crop Block Grant Program, as well as research of monitoring of invasive species that we've been experiencing in New York. And raise the 5 million pound dairy margin Tier 1 limit to reflect the consolidation that has occurred in the industry. And on a personal note, I beg of the Farm Bill appropriators and drafters, please don't ban chocolate milk in schools. It was a lifeline for me and my family. Even the one and only Elon Musk has recognized the value in chocolate milk. These are the requests that were echoed by farmers across the 24th District, and they are the priorities I'm fighting for in Congress. I thank Chairman G.T. Thompson for his continued leadership as chair of the House Agricultural Committee and look forward to working with him in advancing these priorities. I will continue to advocate for solutions that support our agricultural producers in New York and across the country. Members of this body must realize without productive farmers, we have no food. We will not achieve prosperity. We must put aside partisan politics and come together to make this year's Farm Bill a path to growth in all of our agricultural economies. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield back.
The gentlewoman yields back. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Jackson, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week, there was an enormous fire in Charlotte. An apartment building that was under construction caught fire. Within an hour, it became a 5-alarm fire. 90 firefighters from the Charlotte Fire Department responded. They were able to heroically rescue 15 construction workers, including one from on top of a crane. Tragically, 2 construction workers were not able to be rescued, and they died. Reuben Holmes and DeMonte Sherrill. Reuben was loved by his family. He was set to have lunch with his sister on Saturday, and they just can't believe what happened. DeMonte was a father of 4. Obviously, this is a tragedy that will reshape their families' lives, but also a big part of our community. We honor the first responders who sprung into action and did everything they possibly could under extraordinary circumstances, a fire that burned at a temperature of 2,000 degrees. And we call upon the members of our broader Charlotte community to do everything that they can for these families that have suffered truly unimaginable loss. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the Chair declares the House in recess until noon today.